Hello again, everybody. Welcome back in. So here I am jumping into my Forerunner account, the poor neglected account. And what we found is that they did roll an update here recently on 619. All the things that I can see here are the things that are really, I think, going to be more interesting to people. So the first thing is that they're introducing this new mode. It's called the Grimmscale Invasion. It's a copycat of Abyss 1. The only difference is that the difficulty level doesn't really ramp up until you start getting into the latter stages of evolution for this dragon. But here's the thing, is that this will correlate with the Hall of Illusions. So that's probably when it will be introduced into the global server. Because you can see here that as you reach certain thresholds, you're going to get the opportunity to get the gems that are necessary to evolve your gear. So there are certain thresholds here where you reach, where you get the Darkfold gem, for example. If you continue climbing up, you get augmentation gems, and so on and so forth. The compositions that you're going to be using are going to be the standard ones, especially if you have one that is already optimal for Abyss 1. That's the one that I would bring in. So here, I just kind of quickly threw a team together, especially with the heroes that I have here in this account, just to try to see what really it does entail. So the dragon looks a little bit different, but the mechanic is the same. Purple, physical damage. The golden yellow fire mode is going to be magic damage. So then you can see here the score. You just dial scale up, and then eventually once you reach the particular threshold that you reach, you get all those rewards there. Also, as you saw, you're going to have about 14 days to optimize this to get as many rewards as you can out of it. So the only other thing that I saw in terms of difference is that he will gain this shield. So there it is. There's that shield there. If you don't pop that, your run will end. But essentially, the goal is to try to get him down to 0% before that shield comes up. Or if the shield does come up, you got to crack it. So that's essentially what it entails. Now, as you can see, my heroes are doing okay. It's not going to be, like very punishing at the beginning. At the end, yes, we're still going to have to contend with that meteorite that we do in the magic form. So be ready for that. Make sure that they can stomach it. But yeah, at the beginning, it's very light. And essentially, it's all about trying to get that damage at the end. And as you can see, I got sapped there. So essentially, yeah, the run is over there. But at least in this auto fight, I don't know what went wrong. I think I had a higher score than previously. But either way, that's what you can look forward to with this. And it's kind of a baby version of Abyss 1 in a sense. And you can try out different heroes. There's a little bit more versatility in terms of the type of heroes that you can bring in to try to optimize this and scale this up. So that's the Grimmscale Invasion. The next thing that was updated here, and I think that this is one of my favorite things so far in this update, is when we come here to our gear plan. So remember how we all have our gear set up, so we have our presets that are defined for certain heroes or for certain modes within the game, or for example, we have it in GVG. I'm going to move myself to the other side here because I want you to see this here. So in addition to us having all of our gear plans here, so now the one thing that they have introduced is this grouping thing, right? So here's how this is going to work. We're going to have the ability to get up to 10 groups here. Now, everything that you have will default to group 1, okay? Then it's up to you to then move it around. So, for example, for my example here, I have 5 presets where I used to equip my heroes that are going to be used for Demon Soldier affiliation. So what I did here is I came to each one of these, so you can see how they're labeled GVG. So essentially what I did is that I said I want them in group 2. So when I sort for group 2, that's all I'm getting, is all the gear setups that I have for my Demon Soldiers affiliations. And so now what we can do is, if we want to, is could we go back to group 1. So if there is a particular set that I was using for GBG, for example, whereas all attack. So I can tell it, okay, let me make sure I'm doing this correctly. So I can tell it I want this in group 3. Okay, so there. Now it's going to be there. So let me go look for another one here that I was using for GBG. So for example, this one here. Let's see. Let's just put that. That's an example there. Now I'm gonna put that in group 3. So now if I'm gearing my heroes for GBG, now they're all there, right? That's their respective grouping that I have assigned for that. And then if you want to, you can come in and say grouping for Abyss 1, grouping for Tower Deception, in case you have a particular set that you know works for that. If there's an auto run that you need, like if you want your Titanic Ruins specific setups, you can then now group them. So that's the other update that they rolled out, and then finally giving us a chance to organize this a little bit better. All right. Then the notable part here in the rest of the patch notes is, number one, they fixed a lot of hero interactions that were bugged. So for example, Burker with Unshaken Will set, that has been fixed. Now his passive will trigger. The Dio-chan, number one, the arena issue, they said that they fixed that with the auto fight and her switching. You will have to redo your run again and set it up all to make sure that it's working exactly like you want it to in arena. Also, they fixed her logic for the penetration boost, so it does not affect allies immune to buffs. The other thing with Nerissa, they changed the description of her first awakening a little bit because it was worded a little bit weird. So previously, it has said that it increases AoE damage reduction from the Siren Sound by 10% and expands Abyssal Favor range to 2 adjacent tiles. People, the way that this was worded was assumed that she would extend not only that to the original region, her one, that they would then add 2 more. No, they changed that now to specifically say exactly what they wanted it to do, which was go from 1 to 2. So you're not increasing the range by 2 tiles. You are just getting an additional one. So that was one. Carnelian, she just had a little bit of a tweak in terms of one of her skills to make sure that you saw at the bottom that the Awakening 3 does affect that particular skill. Silitude, there was interaction with her artifact that was not working correctly. They fixed that. Twinfin now can get rage from his artifact. That's the big thing. And then Lily's damage, fatal damage immunity, that got fixed. So there were some heroes that if they were sharing damage, Lily would not proc that. Now apparently it does. So this is possibly for those people that were using Lily for Abyss 1 or anything else where there was a damage reduction hero right aside them. So again, with stages being added, I just showed you the Grimmscale Invasion. The other thing that they say is that they optimized some of the interface and monster behavior for the Malrix, Halls of Illusion. I still have to do a lot of my runs. In fact, I think I'm capped. So I need to get rid of some of these so I can start farming those keystones. They say that they adjusted the rewards of the Malrix, Halls of Illusion. Good. Because there were some instances where we were not seeing especially where there's gold or the mythic keystone was not really, given the effort that you were spending on it, it was not really correlating to the rewards that were being distributed. Then they said that they fixed auto fight in the Tower Deception. I said something else here. Oh, sorry. So before I skip to that, they added new floors 16 to 20. They optimized the difficulty curve. And so everything is going to be adjusted correctly. They also changed the auto fight in the stages where they changed the modifiers. Okay, so if you do see a change in the modifier, it'll take your auto fight out, and then you'll have to redo it again. Honor's Gauntlet, they changed the time. Who cares? Nobody's playing it, so we'll move on. Oh, but for those of you that might like it, they finally add in that gear preset save that we've been asking for 6 months or however long this thing has been on. They're finally going to say, okay, 21 gear sets, you can all save it, and then you can go and do your battles. The group feature for gear plans is the one thing that I showed you. They optimize the drop preview in the gear rate, so now you'll see everything that is being dropped, so that you don't have to longer scroll it to make sure that you can see it. They increased the limit of the heroes that can be moved from the backend storage to your main storage to 50. So now we don't have to do it in batches of 20. Now you can do it all in 50 if you have the space. And they also added sort. So now if I go here to my hero interface, you're going to see that I can sort my heroes based on their costs. So the lower cost ones, at least right now that I have them, so these are all my heart ones, so those don't count. But you can see here the lower costs are popped to the top, and then if I go in the reverse, the higher costs popped out to the top. So just in case you were trying to, make a plan as to how much cost you're going to have at the beginning or something like that, but they added that there. So that's included now. And then we have, of course, all the other ones that we had there. So that's it. That's pretty much in terms of Forerunner news. And of course, the big thing here is the new Drake Chasm mode, the Grimmscale Invasion. Just something for you all to play around with. I think it just kind of gives this type of mode will give those that really cannot even last very long in Abyss 1, just kind of like a preview. Get a sense of an adjustment. And again, maybe something like this would have helped set up for that, but now at least people can kind of play around with the mechanic of the boss as it stands. Thank you all very much for tuning and watching. I'll see you all in the next one.